Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargav, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. On Saturday, Punjab Chief Minister and Congress veteran Captain Amrinder Singh resigned from his post. He said that apparently the Congress High Command did not have confidence in him and that he felt humiliated. Captain Amrinder Singh's resignation comes after a month-long drama and a crisis that had been brewing for some time now. This included MLAs within his party saying that they have lost confidence in his leadership and that he had allegedly struck a kind of deal with the opposition party Shiromani Akali Dal. After Singh's resignation, the Congress party waited and deliberated for more than 24 hours and yesterday finally picked Charanjit Singh Channi as the new Chief Minister of the state. Channi will be Punjab's first Chief Minister from the Dalit community. In this episode, we will take a look at what led to Amrinder Singh's resignation, why the Congress picked Channi, how it will affect the party in the state, and the role of the Congress central leadership in the entire matter. We start by talking about Captain Amrinder Singh. And for this, we speak to Manraj Grewal Sharma, Indian Express's resident editor in Chandigarh. Manraj begins by telling us that one of the biggest complaints that people from within his party had was that he, as the chief minister, had become inaccessible.
So you see, inaccessibility has always been part of Captain Amrinder Singh. It's part of his aura as well. So even in his first term, he was inaccessible. He isn't the kind of chief minister who will hold public darbars. So Punjab has a tradition of chief ministers allotting a time for a public interface. So they call it Janta Darbars. Badal would do it very regularly. So every day in the morning, 6 o'clock. So before that, the Congress Chief Minister Beyan Singh, who was assassinated, he would also take these darbars. They call them darbars. But Chief Minister Amrinder has never been one of those people because when asked, he said it wastes a lot of my time. I remember asking him, what do I get out of connecting with people? There are people and I can dispose of their complaints. My offices are better suited. And I don't want lots of people to just come and waste my time. So that was his rationale.
Manraj says that Amrinder Singh had always been like this. He had first become the chief minister of the state in 2002 and he remained in power till 2007. After that, the BJP and the Shiromani Akali Dal came to power, with Prakash Singh Badal as the chief minister. But the next state elections saw Congress winning by a landslide and Amrinder Singh once again became the chief minister. And Manraj says that this time, he was even more inaccessible.
Because the first thing he did, as soon as he was installed as the chief minister in March 2017, he appointed Suresh Kumar, a former chief secretary, as the chief principal secretary. And it's an appointment, it's a rank equivalent to that of a cabinet secretary. And later it was quashed by the High Court, but Amrinder did not accept Kumar's resignation and he continued to have him in the civil secretariat. So he was his point man in the secretariat. And everybody, the MLAs and the ministers, would go to him. And I guess the chief minister felt that the work was being done and he wasn't really required to be there and he would look at the macro picture instead of looking at the nitty-gritties of daily administration. But what happened is the MLA said that they were being forced to queue up outside the offices of bureaucrats and they did not get in the ear of the chief minister.
She points out that Amrinder Singh had a lot of new MLAs in his team. And reporters observed that every time there was a Vidhan Sabha session, many MLAs would be queuing up to meet him, because that was the only time they got such an opportunity.
So it was a big grouse amongst the MLAs that we'd have to kowtow to the bureaucracy, to the officials, even though we are the elected representatives of the people. And in districts, what happened is, since officials were not given any clear directions that you have to be with this party or that, since they were given a free hand, there was no such bias for Congress. And the gripe was that Akalis have enjoyed the same clout that they did when their government was in power. And despite the fact that Congress is in power, we are made to wait and our work is not done. So that was the grouse on the ground. And it started being articulated quite early in his tenure. So it was in 2017 itself when people had started voicing this concern.
Now, besides the fact that he was inaccessible, the other problem that caused the crisis was that there was a perception that Amrinder Singh had a quid pro quo with the Shiromani Akali Dal. And the reason why people within his party had this perception was because of two things. One of them had to do with the Badgadi sacrilege incident that took place in 2015. Basically, what happened was that torn pages of the Guru Granth Sahib, the holy book of the Sikhs, was found in the Badgadi village in Punjab.
And after that, there were series of incidents of sacrilege. And what happened is it was somehow connected with Dera Sacha Sauda. So the suspicion was that this was being done by his followers because the Sikh clergy had taken steps against the Baba Gurmeet Ram Rahim.
Dera Sacha Sauda is often described as a religious cult, and its former leader Gurmeet Ram Rahim has been convicted of rape and murder and is currently serving life imprisonment.
So there was this whole war going on between the followers of Dera Sacha Sauda and the people of Punjab per se. So the perception was that the Akalis were soft on the Dera because the Dera guy had once given a call to the people in southern Punjab, where he has a lot of followers, to vote in favor of the Akalis. So when Congress came to power, they came to power with the promise that A, they would take action against all the culprits, all the people or the forces behind the sacrilege, and B, Amrinder had sworn to break the backbone of drug cartel within a month of coming to power. This did not happen. Even though a Ranjit Singh commission appointed by him, he pointed out he blamed Badals for being in cahoots with the Dera Sacha Sauda. 3 special investigation teams were set up, but nothing could come out of those investigations. And what triggered this final crisis was a Punjab and Haryana High Court order on April 9th saying that this investigation is politically motivated and you haven't done even the basics right. Basic legal work like getting 2 witnesses to sign a document, 2 officers to sign papers, etc. So the court said you've made a mockery of the entire investigation, and he quashed it.
This was a big blow to the Punjab government. There was no action against those involved in the sacrilege, and the Akali Dal did not lose clout in the state. Plus, Manraj says there was also nothing major done about the drug cartel in the state. The Congress government only managed to catch the small-time peddlers.
And it's common knowledge in Punjab that there has been no let-up in the supply of drugs. So all of this added, and people started saying the buzz was the chief minister is going soft on the Badals because there is some kind of quid pro quo, as you say. So that kind of perception was built up.
After this, MLAs from within his party started rallying against him. During this time, Congress leader Navjot Singh Sidhu, who had quit the cabinet in 2019, came forward and began to openly criticize Amrinder Singh. Before this, MLAs would secretly meet to discuss how to put pressure on the chief minister, but nothing was done in public.
Everything was very slyly done, and at times they would also say something to the media, tell it off the record, and the next day deny it when questioned by the CM. But when Sidhu came out, he came out all guns blazing. So he fired his first salvo on April 13th. And earlier in April 2019 also, he had said, my captain is Rahul Gandhi. So he had always been insubordinate, saying that I will not listen to the chief minister, my boss is sitting in Delhi, and so on. So from April onwards, it was a no-holds-barred tirade against the CM. He gave interviews to national media, television channels, said the government has done nothing, has achieved nothing, and how can he call himself? So there was name calling as well. So these guys found a rallying, they found a voice, they found a rallying point, and it kind of validated their the secret, whatever misgivings, the resentment, the anger, all of it, he validated it. So what was subterranean came to the surface.
After this, Sidhu also managed to become the president of the Punjab Pradesh Congress Committee, or PPCC. The Congress High Command had to give in to this demand despite Amrinder Singh not approving of it. Now, the final straw that led to the Chief Minister resigning came on Friday night. This is when Punjab Congress in charge Harish Rawat tweeted that the party was going to call a meeting of the Congress Legislature Party, that is the CLP.
Now, CLP meet, the dissidents had been saying, this was common knowledge. It was the buzz that they are writing a letter to Sonia Gandhi and they are trying to get as many signatures as possible of the MLAs to request a CLP meet in which they will express their no confidence in the chief minister. So this had happened earlier as well, but somehow it didn't come through. They had written a letter earlier. The ministers had even gone to Delhi and camped there in order to meet Sonia Gandhi, but no action was taken as such. This was written on Wednesday. So for 2 days, there was no action. And in fact, the chief minister's camp went around calling up MLAs and asking them, have you signed? And everybody denied because they didn't want to face the chief minister or whatever. But it seems the High Command finally decided that enough is enough because this had been going on, at least from April, it had become very public. So you see 5 months of public bickering in Punjab. So they called this at night and their rationale was that there would be no pressure from Amrinder not to call it.
According to Amrinder Singh, he told Sonia Gandhi to defer the meeting. But when that did not happen, he resigned saying that he felt humiliated at the way things had been handled and the way the MLAs were treating him.
Then they appointed a PPCC chief who had been calling him names, Sidhu. Sidhu was openly coming out against lashing at the CM, but he was made the PPCC chief. Amrinder then went out on a limb and said, I will accept him only if he apologizes. Then no apology was forthcoming, but Sidhu invited him after getting again the initials of lots of people on that invite, lots of MLAs, majority of them. So Amrinder attended the installation ceremony, and I think he did try to offer a hand of friendship or whatever to Sidhu. But the rebellion had taken a life of its own. And what the MLAs, their rationale, the ministers, is that there is a lot of discontent against the government on the ground. So we need a new chief ministerial face. And that we will not be able to win in the coming elections if we don't change our chief.
After he resigned, Amrinder Singh made it a point to tell the media that he would oppose any attempt by the Congress to name Navjot Singh Sidhu as his replacement. He also called him an anti-national, dangerous for the country, and a total disaster. Now, when talking about Amrinder Singh's public perception, Manraj says that he is considered to be a very bright person.
He's not a career politician who only knows how to pander to the masses. He is a very well-read man. He's a military historian. He has several other interests. He knows about diplomacy, etc., the world, the geopolitics, etc. So he's he's cut from a different fabric. He was an army officer who had to leave because he had to come home, a royal blood from the Patiala family and so on. So everybody would call him Maharaja Saab and a lot of respect. But of late, his inaccessibility and the drugs not going away and not enough jobs. And he had come saying Ghar Ghar Rozgar. So it was Captain D Sarkar which would just do away with all the ills plaguing Punjab. So later they of course said that the poll strategist Prashant Kishore had overpromised. But the government didn't deliver all that it had promised. In fact, very little of that. So that kind of led to this notion that he's not really performing.
The other thing that this entire incident has brought to focus is the functioning of the Congress High Command. Manraj says that in this case, it has acted slowly and has been kicking the can down the road.
Because all this started in April, so they were just looking on silently. The least they could have done is like if there is any difference of opinion in an organization, for instance, the rule of the thumb is that the chief will call you and say, hey, stop this public bickering. And you will draw a line and you will probably tell or either broker a peace or say it is either going to be this way or that way. They didn't do that. So what started in April, they let the name calling carry on. So they made the party be a laughing stock of the opposition because opposition said there is enough opposition from within. Congress doesn't need an opposition outside. It has it within. So it did not really play the role it should have. And that is why Amarinder, I think, is feeling very humiliated, very insulted because firstly, the voices against him were not stopped. And if they wanted to ask him to leave, perhaps they could have done it in a better way.
Meanwhile, other parties in the state are already looking at this as an opportunity to gain more seats in the assembly elections scheduled for next year.
Yeah, AAP is certainly very upbeat that they will be able to cash in on this, because this has led to a lot of mistrust about the party, about Congress at the grassroots, where people are saying that if you are going to bicker about everything, what will you do for the people? You will be so busy bickering about things. So the opposition will amplify this, will amplify the infighting and the unceremonious exit of the chief minister, and then the chief minister training his guns at Sidhu, for instance, calling him anti-national and saying that he's in cahoots with Pakistan. So all of that is not going to play out well. They have given a lot of fodder to the opposition.
And next we talk about the new Chief Minister of Punjab, Charanjit Singh Channi. Channi, like we mentioned earlier, is the first Dalit leader to be selected as the Chief Minister of the state. In this segment, we speak to Kanchan Vasudev, who writes on Punjab for the Indian Express, about Channi and the reason why he was picked. Kanchan, could you talk about Charanjit Singh Channi and the kind of role he's played in the Punjab politics?
Channi has been an MLA for last 3 terms. He'd started his political career in the early 2000s and he became the MLA in the 2007 assembly elections. But that time he was not the Congress MLA, he was an independent MLA and had rebelled against the party nominee, and he was elected as an independent. And he became an associate member of the Shiromani Akali Dal in the assembly. That time the sad BJP government was in power. And he got very close to Manpreet Badal, who was now the cabinet minister, whose resignation was given to the governor yesterday along with Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh's resignation. So he was basically a votary of change in the system kind of politics. He was the one who would say that he wouldn't put a red light on his car, then he would pay toll tax himself, and he would drive his car himself, not get a driver. And then he, being a Dalit leader, he has been actually raising a lot of issues of Dalits. And he's been even cornering his own government, saying that we have not been doing much about the Dalit issues. That is what he has been. He's been a CLP leader also. He became the leader of opposition of the Congress party in 2015 and he remained that for a year.
And also, what is the reason that he was picked in particular? Earlier, the party was thinking of choosing Sunil Jhakar. So then why was Channi picked instead?
He's a compromise candidate. They were earlier thinking of naming a Hindu leader in the form of Sunil Jhakar. Then Sukhjinder Randhawa, who was also a contender for the post, he said that he protested against Sunil Jhakar's candidature, saying that Punjab is a Sikh majority state and only a Sikh should be the chief minister of Punjab. He said that he was also a contender. So when the party started considering him, then PCCC chief Navjot Singh Sidhu, then he protested against Randhawa, saying that if it has to be a Jat Sikh leader, then Navjot Sidhu should be the CM. So then the party figured out a compromise formula. They asked Navjot Sidhu what should be done. Then he said he would be okay with the Dalit. So Channi fit the bill.
And how are his relations with others in the Punjab Congress and in the Congress High Command?
He gets along well with most of the leaders. He will get along well with PCC chief Sidhu also. That was the main concern of the Congress High Command. And he is considered very close to Rahul Gandhi. He got in touch with Rahul Gandhi through a Congress leader, CP Joshi, when he was the poll in charge of Punjab. So that is when he came in contact with Rahul. And here in Punjab, it is believed that Rahul likes Channi quite a bit.
Also, one incident that Channi had been involved in dates back to October 2018. Back then, he had been involved in a controversy where he allegedly sent an inappropriate text message to a woman IAS officer. Could you talk about that case a bit and what had happened back then?
He had sent an inappropriate text to a lady officer that time, and she had complained to the Chief Minister, Amrinder Singh. She'd objected to it, and then there was a complaint made. And then Chief Minister had confirmed it through a press statement that he had actually got a complaint, a verbal one, from a lady officer, and that there were allegations against Channi. But then this was not referred to the Sexual Harassment Committee of the state. Everybody went silent on it. And then recently, when Channi had rebelled against the Chief Minister, then the Women Commission of Punjab tried to reopen the case. But after the intervention of the High Command, it was stalled.
And besides this, could you talk about some other things that he has been known for?
Channi is considered a very accessible leader. He's a grassroots leader who keeps in touch with his constituency. As a cabinet minister, also, he has been very accessible. Anybody could go to him and you take the issue to him, and he tries to sort it out also. And with naming him as the new CM, I think the Congress party has also addressed the issues of party workers, that the previous chief minister, Captain Amrinder Singh, he wasn't accessible. Whenever they tried to meet him, he was not available. All that.
And in the end, we talk about the Congress High Command and its role and reactions to the crisis. Manoj CG, who writes on the Congress for the newspaper, tells us that the party actually wanted Navjot Singh Sidhu and Amrinder Singh to work together after Sidhu was appointed the PPCC chief. But that could not happen. And now his resignation has not gone down well with many of the central leaders of the party, especially considering the upcoming elections.
We all know that assembly elections in Punjab is just 4-5 months away. So generally the Congress doesn't change chief ministers just when you're so closer to elections. So those leaders are viewing that the leadership perhaps mishandled the whole situation. One point they make is that even if the Gandhis, the leadership, wanted to change Amrinder Singh as a chief minister, they should have done it a year ago. 4 months closer to elections is no way to create an uncertainty in a state. One of the few states where the party has, many people believe, a realistic chance of coming back to power.
He says that the High Command felt that because there was so much anti-incumbency against Amrinder Singh, the party would not have stood a chance of winning the assembly elections. This is why they felt a change was required.
So they had to do something. There was a need for a shake-up to give a message to the people, perhaps to stem the anti-incumbency which is there. So in that context, they acted the way they acted. They expected resistance from Captain Singh. In fact, on Friday afternoon, when the Gandhis took this decision that it is time to ask Captain Amrinder Singh to step down, Ajay Makan, one of the central observers who is now in Chandigarh, he came out of Rahul's residence, drove straight away to Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi's residence, a Rajya Sabha MP and a noted lawyer and an in-house legal expert of the Congress. They sat till almost after midnight to work out various scenarios where this decision can be implemented.
He says that they factored in many scenarios, including one in which Amrinder Singh would refuse to abide by the party's decision. But once they had all the details and the necessary numbers, they decided to call a meeting of the CLP.
And before that also, the party tell us that, in fact, the members of the Gandhi family were not on the same page. In the sense, Sonia Gandhi was not really keen to show Amrinder the door, but the children Rahul and Priyanka were more practical. They were of the view that with him at the helm, the party stands no chance to return to power. So this surgical strike, some people say, had to be done.
Meanwhile, he says that the Aam Aadmi Party has become the main opposition in the state. Because as far as the Akali Dal is concerned, people in the state are still angry with them. In fact, like Manraj had mentioned earlier, people have been angry with Amrinder Singh for not taking action against the Akalis.
One thing is sure that Aam Aadmi Party has gained a lot of ground in the last 2-3 months, and this uncertainty in the Congress, this rebellion, this will cost the party very dearly. Now, whether the party will be able to tide over the crisis and put up an united face and wage an energetic campaign in the next 3-4 months, that is, we'll have to wait and see.
Meanwhile, the Congress is also facing problems in the other two states where it is in power, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan. In Chhattisgarh, there had been an unwritten agreement between Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel and Health Minister T.S. Singh Deo that the position of the Chief Minister would change after 2.5 years. But now it seems that Baghel doesn't want to follow through with that. And he has a lot of MLAs supporting him. In fact, 23 MLAs even came to Delhi last month with Baghel to show support. And similarly in Rajasthan, party leader Sachin Pilot was promised the position of the Chief Minister. But Ashok Gehlot, who is the current Chief Minister, doesn't want that to happen. And he also has the support of the majority of the MLAs.
The situation in Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh is completely different from that of Punjab. In Punjab, the High Command had a relatively easy handling Captain Amarinder Singh, ousting him from the Chief Minister's post was relatively easy for the Congress leadership because most of the MLAs were not really happy with the style of functioning of the former Chief Minister. But the situation in Rajasthan is completely different, and the situation in Chhattisgarh is equally different in the sense the chief ministers in both these states, Ashok Gehlot and Bhupesh Baghel, enjoy the support of majority of the MLAs. So now, again, given the way the MLAs, their support is stacked, whether the High Command would intervene, because at the end of the day, it all comes from a signal that the High Command gives. And MLAs, most of them would be so rigid in aligning with any particular leader. They always look up to Delhi and which leader has the blessings of the Delhi. So that can be managed, but the High Command has to take a decisive call whether to intervene and make a change of guard.
You were listening to Three Things by The Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargav, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.